Okay, friends, let's go ahead and begin with reciting the Namo Tassa and the three refuges for those who like to do that. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dhammang saranang gacchami, Sanghang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami, Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. So friends, welcome back to this weekly Wednesday night Dhamma discussion and meditation practice. So I had a nice journey over in Germany, conducting a series of 3 different retreats. There were 2 weekend retreats and 1 10-day retreat. And the 10-day retreats are actually the most useful, because over 10 days you have more time to develop your mindfulness, concentration, and even getting insights and developing insights and wisdom into the nature of the mind. So the retreat was basically on integrating the yoga with the vipassana meditation practice, because that's usually the way that I prefer to conduct the retreats, because I find that that's one of the, using the yoga before practicing meditation is a good way to help a person initially get connected to their bodies, which is really the starting point for at least for mindfulness meditation, for vipassana meditation, but really for any meditation, because our mind is operating through the body, and so the body is the access point to the mind. And that brings us actually to the topic that I decided to focus on for these next few weeks, the topic of the 5 aggregates of clinging. Because the 5 aggregates of clinging are basically all the elements of our body, mind, and world, all of the elements of the body, mind, and world that make up life, really. And the whole of the Buddhist teaching is basically focused on these 5 aggregates and how we get caught up into them, creating karma through them, and then having to experience accumulating greed, hatred, and delusion, and creating unskillful, karmic entanglements. So we all know that the Buddhist teaching is couched in the 4 noble truths: the truth of suffering, the cause of suffering, the cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering. And that suffering is defined in 3 levels. This gross level of suffering, which is, getting sick, getting diseases, getting old age, dying, having to experience all kind of scratches and painful sensations connected with the body, broken bones, and all the worry and suffering that comes with the problems of this body, as well as the impermanence of the world around us. And then the mental suffering of grieving, crying, lamenting, getting in depression, all the mental problems that arise due to the wrong understanding of the material world, or the clinging to it, having developed these cravings and aversions to the material world. But then the Buddha said, in short, these 5 aggregates of clinging are what are the suffering. So these 5 aggregates of clinging are the focus, of course, of mindfulness meditation, but there's sometimes some misunderstandings in how to examine or kind of relate to these 5 aggregates. So I want to go over them again. I've gone over them before, at least a few times in various talks going back over the years. So the 5 aggregates, I think most of you know them, basically. They're the material world, all the material vibrations. So the aggregate of material forms. And it includes everything that we can see with our eyes, hear with our ears, smell with our nose, taste with our tongues, feel with the skin, through the body. And so, but basically, but we think we see objects, but actually these material forms are made up of what the Buddha called the 4 elements. All material matter is made up of what he called the 4 Mahabhutas, or the 4 elements. And these are the earth element, fire element, water element, and air element. And there's a 5th element of space. Now, a lot of people, this is probably one of the most confusing and misunderstood ways of how to relate to these elements, because people think elements, okay, it's like chemistry. You got, the element tables of 100 different elements, and zinc and iron and gold and all these things. But it's not that. And if you break it down, Buddha was a scientist. And through his powerful vision, even these what are called the 4 elements of earth element, basically we have to have a scientific attitude and break down material matter. Let's take this body. So what is this body? It's comprised of billions and billions of cells. Does anybody disagree with that? I mean, most scientists will tell us, right? This body is made up of billions and billions of cells. And I gave the example in other talks about the baby at the point of conception, that the process of cell division started with that one cell, new little fetus, and over 9 months multiplied into a multi-billion celled little baby. Now, then further breaking it down, what are cells made up of? They're made up of many molecules. I don't know exactly how many molecules make up a cell. It's probably different, but they're made up of molecules, smaller little things than a cell. And then what are molecules made up of? Atoms. So, on the chemical table, you get a certain amount of atoms make up, dirt. A certain amount of atoms make up a rock. A certain amount of atoms, I'm not a chemist or a biologist, so, I may be a little bit off in my definitions, but I hope you can follow this train of thought. So, and what are atoms made up of? Electrons. So the amount of electrons moving around an atom gives it its properties. And what are basically electrons? Why do they call them electrons? Because they're electricity. It's the nature's electricity. or you might say the life force. All material, matter depends on these, atoms, molecules, and cells, which at their very essence are just electrons vibrating, which is like energy, electricity. So basically, if you take that analysis, then this body is basically just condensed energy. And so what we feel through the senses, our brain, it basically works like a television or a radio transmitter and receiver. So our sense organs only pick up vibrations. Like visible vibrations strike the eye, sound vibrations strike the ear, nose vibrations strike the nose, flavor vibrations contact the tongue, and the body, touching the body, pressure on the body sends vibrations through the nervous system. So basically, what we are experiencing are just vibrations coming through the senses, not the objects themselves. Now, I'm going to explain that in a minute. As I mentioned, when you watch a TV program, or even right now looking at this Zoom program, seeing me talking here, basically that is the camera and the function of the camera, or let's say I like to use the TV example. So a TV station is, making a movie, but that camera just records basically vibrations, dots and dashes, which are then transmitted through the electrical circuits. And then when applied to your TV set, go through the electrical circuits of your TV set and reproduce those vibrations that were originally caught by the camera, the face or anything else. But the camera is not sending that news announcer through the air into your TV set. It's only invisible vibrations that are coming through your senses, that are recreated through the nervous system of the body, that then you actually see, let's say, the image. Now, if the set is malfunctioning, you won't see that image correctly. So it depends on the proper functioning of the circuits of how we perceive images. Now, you might think, well, this is a lot of, complicated intellectual stuff. No, but it's really the heart of understanding the mind, the essence of the mind, and how it functions, and especially in the way that it creates the illusions that are created through not understanding the process. So anyway, I don't want to make it too complicated. But it's very important because the four element contemplations are part of mindfulness of the body. And most people don't practice those because so much emphasis is given on mindfulness of breathing and, kasinas and, various kind of visualizations and so on. But actually, I'm going to read the Buddha's instruction to his own son, Rahula, which is in the Rahula Vada Sutta, the Majjhima Nikaya. And the Buddha was teaching him about the body because, the Buddha had left the palace, 6 years prior and hadn't seen his son. And his son hadn't seen his father. So this was like right after the Buddha came back after 6 years of his ascetic practice as now the Buddha. And it said that his body was very, beautiful to observe, look at, and emitted a glow and radiance and so on. So this little boy was looking at the father. And then his mother, the queen, said, "That's your father. Go ask him for inheritance because he's supposed to inherit the throne. So it belongs to you as his son. Go ask him for the inheritance." Anyway, so his son, Rahula, goes up to the Buddha and kind of tags on his robe. And then the Buddha turns around and then gives him this discourse. He said, "Whatever, Rahula, pertains to oneself as an individual is hard, of a solid nature, and an object of grasping," that's important, an object of grasping, "to wit, hair of the head, hair of the body, nails, teeth, skin, flesh, bones, all the various organs, urine, or no, not urine, that's another element. But anyway, all these things that we can actually feel or see. They're of a solid nature and an object of grasping. This is called the internal element of earth. But even this personal earthy element, as well as the external earth element, that means the external earth, like in rocks, trees, dirt, and of course the earth, this is merely the element of earth. But again, as I said, I like to use the term vibration. So I call them the earth vibration. And why do I call it that? Because that's what we feel. Now, for an example right now, take one hand and grab one of your other hands and press on your arm or some part of your body. Now, what do you actually feel? What are you actually feeling coming through that? You feel the hand, or do you feel some vibrations, some pressure? Come on, let me hear something.
Vibration.
Pressure.
Yeah, but pressure is a vibration. I mean, the vibration means the electrons that are or neurons or whatever you want to call them, that's moving through the nervous system from that pressure is creating a vibration in the nervous system. And when it gets to the brain, we'll talk about this in a moment, there it is then recognized by the brain as an object. So it's the same as the images being broadcast from a TV station. Now it's all coming by cables, but even a cable, they're still being photographed by a camera in some studio, run through a cable, which is just wires. So these are just that electric current, or whatever you want to imagine it, is going through those cables into your TV set. Now you don't even have to have cables anymore. It's going through the, you don't see the people on a TV flying through the air up to the moon and back, come back into your TV set, right? It's invisible energy. But basically it's vibrations that are, then once they hit the body, our bodies are just like the wires of an electronic circuit. No different really. And they just realize those same vibrations, and it recreates the same image on the set, because that's the way they're made. That's the way, because all these electronic things are made. So anyway, this is important to have this kind of intellectual understanding about how these elements are just vibrations. So there's the earth vibration, water vibration. That means water vibration means like saliva in your mouth. It's something you can feel some fluid in the mouth. So that's called the water vibration. Or if you have a tear running down your cheek, that sense of fluid, or watery nature fluid. It's the vibration of water. Or the temperature, heat, or motion. All these four are just those elemental vibrations. So I'm not going to read all of the rest of those, the water element, fire element, uh, the air element. And then there's a fifth, because we identify that when we feel something in the body, we say, that's my hand, that's my tooth, you know, that's anything, that's my hair, my eyes, or somebody else's body. We see that. And that vibration is just a vibration striking our eye, but our brain identifies it as being a person, a male or a female or something else, any object. And so we're not seeing the vibration. We think we're seeing solid objects that then we get attached to. They're, again, objects of grasping. We form attachment to them, understanding that ultimately these are just mentally created objects. Now, they might have a counterpart there. We're not saying those objects don't exist, but we're talking about the mind. The Buddha was talking about the mind and what causes suffering. So, as it originates in the mind. And this is connected with the first verses of the Dhammapada, Mano Pubbangama Dhamma. All actions are led by the mind, or all phenomena are created within the mind. They're led by the mind. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. So the meaning of that is that the mind is creating all these objects out of vibrations. It's hard to get attached to a vibration. We see them then as connected to objects that then we get attached to. And I'm going to talk about that, more or next. But I just wanted to emphasize the meditation on the four elements, because it's often overlooked. Actually, this was one of my favorite meditations when I was a young monk, and it gave me the most insights into the nature of illusion and the nature of emptiness, which will be talked about later, and how we get fooled by objects and so on. So so the way that you meditate on these is while you're meditating, whenever you feel something in the body, instead of saying, oh, that's a pain in my knee, you say, that's a vibration. And then the knee is even something else, part of perception. We'll talk about that later. But the idea, you just identify, this is the earth vibration, the water vibration, the air vibration, like the breath going in and out of the body. Now there's the earth vibration in terms of the flesh and the rib cage and the lungs that are working, and the clothing on the body as it's being stretched and creating vibrations, the earth element, but the air that's actually going in and out is creating this air vibration too. So you understand that I am breathing. I know this may seem complicated now, but and it is kind of, but I'm trying to explain this because this is the sort of the scientific way of understanding the nature of our experience, and which is important for developing right understanding. So anyway, these, whenever we look outside, we see these various objects that are also made up of these elements. Somebody's body, we see a river, a tree, rocks, and basically we don't realize that that's coming through our nervous system are just vibrations. And then the next of the aggregates is the sensations generated by the vibrations. So this is also usually called feelings, or the Pali word Vedana. But I prefer to use the term, it's usually translated as feelings, but feelings are in English language have a different meaning. The Vedana is basically just the pleasant or painful nature of those vibrations. So some vibrations cause us unpleasant have an unpleasant feeling like a itch, for example, or others like a sweet sound may cause your best friend's voice or whatever. Music, birds singing, create this is just a sound vibration coming through your ears, but it generates a pleasant feeling, depending on what it is, a pleasant or neutral, pleasant, painful, or neutral vibrations. They give rise to these, sensations. So the sensations and the vibrations are directly connected. But normally we don't see that. We don't see that process. So that's part of the meditation practice, the aggregate. So the second aggregate is that of the sensations, pleasant, painful, or neutral sensations generated from these contacts. All the material vibrations come through contact, through the senses. We'll be talking more about that as we go on with the other aggregates, but I'm just focusing on this first night on these, on the material aggregate and the sensations aggregate, because that's the first, what triggers off the mind. We could be sleeping and all of a sudden you're woken up by a loud sound, like a door slamming or people talking, right? I mean, how are you woke up at night? Your alarm clock. That's just a vibration going through your ear, but because you learned it and you learned what it means, then when you hear that, you say, oh my gosh, it's time to get up. And so it might cause a painful feeling if you wanted to sleep more, or it might cause a pleasant feeling if you wanted to get up on time, or neutral feeling. So it's the feelings that wake up our mind. And all the vibrations coming through the senses have a sensation, a pleasant, painful, or a neutral sensation accompanying it. And these are conditioned because not all sensations are going to produce a pleasant or a painful feeling in every person. People experience objects in different ways. So, a sound of a certain person's voice might create a pleasant feeling in one person, but it might create a painful feeling in another person. It's the same vibration, isn't it? But the experience is different. And so the same with foods we eat, things we smell, things we see, things we hear, even things we think about will create a pleasant or a painful or a neutral feeling. Even some of your thoughts. All of a sudden a thought about something may just pop in your mind, even while you're listening to me talking right now. You might have had some thoughts pop into your mind about, something you have to do tomorrow that you don't want to do, or something else. It creates an unpleasant sensation, which triggers off aversion. So now I wanted to mention one more element that's not one of the four elements, but it's a fifth element called the space element. And this is also very interesting. Most people don't talk too much about the space element. And let's say even you feel space in your mouth. Okay, your mouth is closed. Run your tongue around through the mouth. There's some air in there. There's some space. Your mind identifies, there's a space cavity in that. Or even the space in your house. The walls of your house create a space. So that the mind identifies the space as the element of space is considered the fifth element. But it's interesting because that's how the mind recognizes things. So anyway, all these elements, whether they're in your body or whether in the outside world, that's the way the mind identifies the initial contact with the world is through this vibration. Or even you got a stomach pain, your stomach, you have the idea your stomach is a little bag inside, or your lungs are a bag inside. So that's due to the space element, the mind's memory of these things, and two, that help to identify the body. So these five elements, and that whenever they're contacted through the senses, they immediately produce a pleasant feeling, a pleasant sensation, painful sensation, or a neutral sensation. Now, the pleasant sensations trigger off greed and desire because we want to have pleasurable sensations. And unpleasant sensations or painful sensations produce usually aversion, dislike, and if not attended to, they can produce anger or even hatred. These sensations are strong enough. The neutral sensations don't create too much karma, but they can create kind of complacency, thinking, oh, I'm okay, and nothing bothers me, and something like that. But it's the painful and pleasant sensations that we'll see later that actually the mind, our whole life is oriented around trying to get pleasurable feelings and to avoid the painful feelings, because that's what we get tied up in the whole web of karma based on them. So I think I'm going to stop there with this much. I don't want to go on the whole, take up too much time. And I wanted to see now if there's any questions, if any of you have any questions based on anything you read. I hope you were able to read the material that I sent out on the mailing. How many of you got the mailing I sent out on, I think it was Sunday afternoon? Just raise your hand, the ones that I can see here. I know, because some people say they don't get the mailings. And, okay, I see a golden hand there. Dragon Yogi, you have a question? Unmute.
Yes,
Yeah.
thank you, Bhante. Thank you. Yes, Bhante, on the elements, when we contemplate them during meditation, when we do earth element, can you talk a bit about what the earth elements are? The bones, skin, hair.
Even the clothing touching your body,
Okay.
because it's anything that you can feel, that occupies space and you can feel, gives resistance. Like even I'm touching my robe here, right? So it's giving some resistance. So, and then the mind identifies that, that's some cloth because of the vibration and the learning of language. It all comes through having learned language, what objects are. The brain remembers all of these things, and it works like a computer. So, the skin, all the external elements of the body, and everything in the world. Anything.
Also shows our
Anything you can
relationship.
see.
Shows our relationship to it too, as well, huh?
Well, that comes with the painful and pleasant feelings is the relationship, and then the memory of these objects for the past. But I'm going to cover those next week. I don't want to get too far ahead because it's a very big subject, and I wanted the people to kind of just focus on trying to get some kind of understanding about with these vibrations. Our whole world is just basically made up of mano pubangama dhamma. Mind is their master, mind is their maker. It makes everything out of these vibrations. And that's the meaning of that verse, and most people don't understand the meaning of it. But that's what it means. That's the building blocks, is the vibrations and these sensations that are running through the nervous system, where our brain then remembers them and all that.
It's also how we create identity.
That comes with the perceptions and the other things that I'll be talking about, yeah. But we identify with this body, of course, all these different vibrations we're feeling in the body, any part of the body, you get a pain in your finger, your toe, your stomach, your ear, your eye, you're always identifying, oh, that's my eye, that's my ear, that's my this. We're constantly building this image and reminding ourselves of this body that we identify. This is mine. This is me, right? And more about that later. But
We're becoming to not me, not mine, not myself, impermanence
well,
and
yes,
contemplation. Thank you,
yes,
Bhante.
that comes later. Yeah, we'll get into those in the next weeks. Yeah.
Thank you.
Dushanti, you have a hand up?
Yes, hi, good evening, Bhante. Two things. One, I'm not getting your emails. And the other thing is I find it interesting what you talked about regarding your nervous system and your body remembering kind of, or the body remembering like the sensations or even memories and emotions that can get stored in the body, and the Western world being caught up in like the mind and body being two different things. And
Right.
so it's interesting when you really investigate that in meditation and how the lines are blurred and there's no separation, and you're like, what is really happening? This phenomena is weirdly, it's weird. There's a lot of interesting, weird things that happen that there is no separation, or there's some interesting intertwining, or it's just an interesting topic.
Yes, of course it is. And because the whole of the Buddhist teaching basically revolves around that, because that's how suffering is created, not understanding the process and getting attached to it and clinging to it and then creating karma around it out of desire and aversion, greed and hatred and delusions for basically just stuff that's created in your mind. Now, it has some external connection, but the way we're experiencing it is in our mind because each person experiences it in different ways. So that's why the Dhamma, the whole Dhamma, is about understanding that.
Bhante, I have a question, please. Hi,
Okay, who's talking?
Ishira.
Ishira. Okay.
Yeah, hi. So you mentioned about this fifth element is the space. Can we, if the space is, can we, is it consciousness?
The consciousness remembers it through your language and through our experiences. It's remembered by the brain. So anything that's enclosed and has a space inside of it is called a space element.
So what's the relationship between because you said the space element is actually there to recognize things. So is there a relationship between the space and consciousness?
Consciousness is what recognizes things. We won't recognize anything without consciousness.
Okay.
But, the space element, I wouldn't worry too much about it. That's why the space element is not considered one of the four Mahabhutas. It's kind of an extra one, but because we can get clinging to this idea of the space element, then, the Buddha it's another object of clinging. But those four ones I mentioned first are really the most important ones because those are the things we get most attached to. We don't get attached necessarily to the space in our mouth, right? But we can get attached to our teeth, the earth element. We want beautiful looking teeth. And if the elements get imbalanced, like too much water, heat, these can upset the balance of the body, and you'll get sick and develop pains when these four elements get out of balance in different ways. So that's why they're given the prominence, the four elements, which are making up most of the things that we identify with the body. Urine, is a part of the water element, so, it gives a bad odor. So, we don't like to smell that, and, and other things like so on, sweat and tears, and we see some tears rolling down where you say, oh, that person's sad, because our mind is creating this idea, identifying that tears are related to sadness or crying, but, it's just the water element. So it's just interesting the way that you can apply, like the next time in your daily life tonight or tomorrow. If something stands out, try to remember, oh yeah, it's just the earth vibration, water vibration. And see if you can kind of, identify some of these things and how your mind gets, kind of attached to them. And how they create a painful or pleasant sensation. Maybe they're too hot. The water element gets too hot. Boiling water burns your mouth. So there's a water element and there's the heat element together. All these four elements actually combined in every manifestation of matter, but one of them stands out above the others. So in hot water, there's both the water and there's the heat, probably in equal measure. But in a rock, there's also a water element, but it's so minuscule that we only see the earth element when we try to grab a rock, right? Or something like that.
Okay. Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. So any other questions? Geraldine, you have a question?
Yes, Bhante. Hello, I'm new, so I didn't get any emails. I didn't want to get on the mailing list. Thank you, Bhante, for explaining the four elements. Bhante also shared that you practice a lot of four elements meditation when you were a young monk. I wanted to ask, how do we do four elements meditation during formal meditation rather than doing on the breath? Then how to go about doing the four elements? Like, for example, do we focus on the hair element as earth and just keep focusing on the hair, or do we go through the different parts of the body? How does this take place during formal meditation?
There are different ways of doing it. Now, in the mindfulness of the body, in the four foundations of mindfulness, the first foundation is the body. And so the Buddha uses the breathing first to get to the body, but then he has you examine and say, well, in this body, there's hair, the head, teeth, nails, skin, and trying to identify. And then these are where you can apply, that's the earth element. Teeth is the earth element because it's hard, right? You can hit it. It's something that's hard. So anything that you can feel on the body, you just say, this is the earth vibration. If you feel saliva in the mouth, you got tears coming down, you got a full bladder of urine or something, you got some blood coming out, that's the water vibration. So, it's not really rocket science. It's just, it's, pretty basic kind of stuff, It's just you're identifying, rather than saying, that's my knee, that's the earth vibration. So it helps you to get some detachment from the object. Otherwise, you would get too immediately attached to it. Oh, my knee, my knee, my knee. Instead, oh, it's just the earth vibration. Or it's just the clothing touching your skin. You're doing the breath, even breathing. You can contemplate. The breath is the air vibration. And, the body lives on this. But the lungs are made up of, flesh and stuff. That's the earth element, too. It's there. The clothing touching your skin, it's creating friction as the lungs expand and contract. That's the earth vibration. And so at the same time you're doing that, you might feel saliva in the mouth. That's a water vibration. So it's like you can just randomly, whenever something's prominent in your mind, you identify it. Such as a pain, your ankles are crossed, you're getting pain from sitting, okay. It's probably your spine or your bones and flesh are getting pressed together. And so you're just understanding this is the earth vibration. But the mind is calling it this or that, but what you're actually experiencing is that earth vibration. So by seeing it like that can create detachment in the mind. And we'll get more to this next week when we continue our discussion on this.
Thank you, Bhante.
Okay. Is there another question? Okay. Kim?
Hi. So basically there's no formal earth, fire, air, water meditation then. So you're just looking at different things you're experiencing and identifying them as one of the elements?
Well, in the four element meditation, now there are kasinas like earth kasina, water kasina, air kasina, that you can do as a specific type of concentration exercise, but we're not going into that here. We're just talking about the way we contemplate these four elements that we get attached to, connected with our body, because our body creates a lot of suffering for ourselves by getting overly obsessed with it and identified with it. So this is a psychology. It's the Buddhist psychological process of trying to change the way our brain gets obsessively attached and identified with the elements of the world and the objects in the world. More will be understood about this, as later. Okay. So if there's no other questions, I think we'll stop there so we can continue to have a, little stretching, feel some of this earth vibration body, and then meditate. Okay? So take a few minutes break and come back. you're going to be seen around the world.
Can you see that, Bhante?
Okay, friends, so try to stand straight, relax your arms at the side, just gently close your eyes. Focus your attention where your feet press the floor. That's the earth vibrations. Feel that sense of contact, solid contact from your feet to the floor, that pressure or hardness sensation that's coming through the feet. Just try to identify that as the earth vibration. Now try to feel your clothing touching the skin. It's also when the clothing touches your skin, the earth vibration. Kind of clench your teeth together and feel the teeth, the hard bone of the teeth, that sensation. It's the earth vibration. So we're identifying that sense of hardness as, oh, that's my teeth clenched together. That's a memory in your mind. But what you're actually feeling is that called the earth vibration. Okay, now just begin some deep, slow breathing. Feel the air vibration. Try to take a deep, slow breath. Hold the air in the lungs for a few seconds before breathing out. Just developing this mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, standing here and now. You can feel the air coming in, the movement of the lungs, the air vibration, the clothing stretched over your chest, creating friction with the expansions, earth element vibration. You identify as, oh, that's me breathing. Anyway, just develop that deep, slow breathing. Now we're going to combine that with these movements. Do the movement while breathing in, holding the position for 2 or 3 seconds. Turning to the starting point on the out breath. Repeating each one 3 times. So as we're doing this, you'll feel lots of sensations going through the body. All these things are basically those vibrations. Some of them might be unpleasant vibrations, some of them may be pleasant vibrations. Just try to see them like that. So on the next in-breath, raise your hands over the head, interlock the fingers, turn the palms up, straighten your arms, stretch your head back, feel all the different sensations. Release your fingers, arms back to the sides. Feel the last bit of air go out on the out breath. Again, in breath. Stretch up, feel the sensations, so many different ones. Out breath. Once more, in. Stretch up, bend back a bit. Feel the sensation. Out breath. On the in breath, you might feel more painful or unpleasant sensations with stretching, but on the out breath, you might feel the relief of that stretching, pleasant sensation. Just keep feeling the body, just remember the present moment, standing, standing. Just think to yourself vibration. And this voice is just a sound vibration coming through your ear. Has some meaning, but nevertheless, it's a sound vibration. Okay, on the next in breath, lift up on the balls of the feet, raise the arms over the head, face the hands toward each other about 6 inches apart, stretch up, feel sensation. Out breath, come back down, let the last bit of air go out, the air element, the air vibration. Again, in breath, and up, stretch, out. Once more, in, stretch. And the earth vibration of clothing touching the skin, the air vibration of breathing, the two prominent vibrations. You might feel some prickly sensations or itchy sensations in the skin, unpleasant vibration. Next we'll do the side bending using both arms. On the in breath, raise both arms up. You keep your fingers and arms straight, close to your head. On the out breath, bend over the right side. As far as you comfortably can, keep the arms parallel to each other. Feel the sensations. In breath, lift up. Air vibration. And the other side, out breath. Air vibration moving out. Clothing touching the skin, earth vibration, lift up. Again to the right, out breath. In, out. In. Once more to each side. Up. In. Out. On the out breath, lower both arms. And sensations, air vibration, material vibration. If you hear something, that's just a sound vibration right in your ear. If you see anything there in your house or somewhere, it's a visible vibration. You can now spread the legs apart about 3 feet. You do the twisting from right to left, holding the arms out. You breathe in. On the out breath, twist to the right. Keep your eyes focused on the hand going back. Let the feet turn a little bit. The in breath, come back to the front. Let the feet turn with the body and twist to the other side. Out breath. In breath, turn. Keep alternating sides, breathing, feeling vibration, sensation, vibrations and sensation. So once more to each side. Coming back to the front, lower the arms, close the eyes, feel all those different elemental vibrations, feet pressing the floor, the earth vibration, any body movements, the air vibration, sweat, water vibration. Clothing touching the skin, earth vibration. Any painful or pleasant sensation. Pleasant or painful sensation is a mental reaction. We now place the hands together at the chest. On the in-breath, raise the hands over the head. On the out-breath, lower the hands to the chest, bend the knees, lower down, keep the back upright. The in-breath, the muscles in the legs pushing the body up. The out-breath, try to come down a little further. Feel all the different vibrations, the painful sensation. In-breath up. Third time. Now, breath, arms back to the sides. Close the eyes. And feel all those different vibrations, hundreds of them, so many, coming from all over the body. And the heart beating, the vibration, the earth vibration, and for the pulse of blood, the water vibration, the fluid vibration. Now we'll do the forward and backward bending, keeping the legs apart, try to spread your legs a little bit further apart. Just be careful with the back bends, don't bend back too far first time. Just let your hands touch the front of your legs, Breathe in. On the out breath, bend forward. Keep the head lifted up, looking out straight ahead. Let your hands come down to your knees the first time. And keep the legs straight, flatten the spine. In breath, lift up. Move the hands under the buttocks for support. In the out breath, bend backwards, keep your eyes open. In breath, lift up. Feel the sensation. Again, out breath. Forward, let the hands come down below your knees. Feel the extra stretch in the back of your legs. In breath, lift up. Again, the back bend, just be careful. And bend back a little more. In breath. The third time, let the hands come down as far as you can towards your feet. Your ankles or feet, and then hold on there longer. Feel the extra stretch in the back of your legs. The little bones in the lower spine stretch out. Feel those sensations. Might be painful sensation, pleasant sensation, vibration of the stretched muscles, the earth vibration. Here you begin, lift up, breathe in, and once more the back bend, just be careful. In breath, lift up. The out breath, just relax. Just feel all those sensations, vibration. That's all the world is, it's just vibration. It's the vision of Dhamma. Now bring the legs back together. We're going to just do one last simple exercise, head turning from right to left. So standing straight. On in breath, turn the head to the right. Another twist in the neck. Look over your right shoulder. Get a stiff neck, might be an unpleasant sensation. Out breath, turn the head all the way back to the left, to look over the left shoulder. In breath to the right. Out breath left. In right. Out left. And in breath, let the head stop in the middle, feeling the body, the vibrations. It's only because of all these different vibrations you're feeling from your head, feet, hands, clothing. The idea of a standing body is created in the mind by perception. Okay. So now let's come back to our seats. Be ready for the sitting. Friends, so try to sit straight, align your head and your spine in a straight line. You keep your chin lifted up, level with the floor. Just gently close your eyes. Just feel your eyes resting in the socket. We'll spend most of this meditation trying to feel, identify vibrations, material vibrations, pleasant or unpleasant sensation. Just feeling the eyes resting in the sockets, the eyes and the eye muscles. It's mostly the earth vibration. If you have any tears or water, feeling in the eyes, the water vibration. Maybe feel in your mouth, you might have some saliva in the mouth, that kind of fluid sensation, water vibration. press your teeth together, feel that earth vibration, hardness. And take a few deep breaths, feel that air vibration moving through the nostrils into the lungs. Just take a few deep, slow breaths, feeling that air vibration as well as the earth vibration, the clothing rubbing against the skin of your stomach and chest. It expands and contracts, cultivating this mindfulness. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Feel that earth vibration of the buttocks pressing the seat. Breathing in, letting go of the past and future. Breathing out, sitting here and now. Now we're going to count our breaths from 1 to 10 to develop a more continuous concentration on the breathing. Feel the air vibration and the earth vibration of the clothing touching the skin. So on the next expanding in breath, mentally count to 1. Hold the air in the lung. Feel the subtle vibration. On the out breath, feel the last bit of air go out of the lungs, also counting 1. The end of the out breath, feel the body pressing the floor, earth vibration, buttocks or feet. And the next in breath, 2. Hold the breath a couple of seconds. And the out breath, 2. Follow the out breath down to the end. The next in breath, 3. Out breath, 3. In 4. Out 4. In 5. Out 5. In 6. Out 6. In 7. out 7, in 8, out 8, in 9, out 9, in 10, out 10. Follow this last out breath down to the end. Just keep your attention there at the end. Don't try to breathe in. Just wait for the air to come in by itself. Discontinue the counting. Keep your attention focused there on those subtler expanding and contracting movement. Try to feel where the clothing rubs against the skin of your stomach, rib cage, or chest. It expands and contracts. Don't try to control the breath anymore. Just let it be a shorter breath. Keep your attention focused. Feeling the earth vibrations of the clothing against the expanding and contracting flesh. Feel the air element moving through the nostrils. Just knowing when the breath is coming in and knowing when the breath is going out. The breath is basically the air vibration. You just try to cultivate that understanding. The air vibration coming in, the air vibration going out. Different sensations of the earth vibration, of the expanding lungs and clothing, making contact. So many different little sensations. Try to tune into the 4 phases of each breath cycle. Expanding in breath and the brief pause. Contracting out breath and the brief pause. Those pauses between the breaths, feel the different vibrations of the body. Vibrations from your face, your hands touching together, feet pressing the floor. clothing touching the skin. But at the same time, be alert for thoughts moving through the back of your mind, waiting to sneak in. Even your thoughts are just a mental vibration. When you understand things as just vibrations, less to get attached to, less to identify as being yourself. Just try to understand that. Within this breathing body, you can feel hundreds, if not thousands, of different vibrations, sensations. Constantly changing. Just breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. It's the present moment, vibrations, sensations coming and going. Through this space of awareness, this consciousness. This consciousness is simply the space through which all these vibrations, sensations can be noticed. If you happen to hear any sensation from within your house, or even this voice, just the sound vibration, from time to time, take a few deep, slow breaths, especially if the mind loses its concentration, if there's too many thoughts. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. Yes. Material vibration, sensation. Cultivating that insight, awareness. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. This material vibration, sensation. It's constantly coming and going. Mental vibrations, any thoughts coming and going in the background, in the space of consciousness, awareness. It's cultivating this right understanding, this insight. Vipassana insight. Breathing in, sitting. Breathing out, sitting. Keep coming back to ground zero, this breathing body, the world of vibrations coming through the senses. Mind creating objects out of vibration that we then get attached to, form loves and hates over. If your mind gets lost in thoughts, all it's thinking about are these past vibrations, sensations that it's clung to as memory, recreating them in your thought, cause distraction, stress, or desire or aversion. You're getting stressed out over just some mental bubbles of memory, floating through the space of consciousness. Sabbe sankhara anicchati yada panyaya pasati atanibindati dukhi Esamango Visuddhiya. All conditioned things, the five aggregates of this body, mind, and world are impermanent. They're constantly changing, lasting only a few moments, then vanish. When one understands this reality with the eye of insight, one becomes disenchanted with self-created suffering. This is the path to freedom. And thus spoke the Buddha. Now I invite you to join in finishing this meditation by chanting the word sadhu 3 times slowly. We do that chanting sadhu on a long out breath. Try to feel those vibrations in the body and mind. So take a deep breath. Sadhu. Breathe. Sadhu. Breathe. Sadhu. Now mindfully place your hands at the edge of your knees. Take one more deep breath as you breathe in. Pull the hands against the knees to arch your spine back. Feel the sensation. And lift the head up. And on the out breath, press the chin to the top of the chest. Stretch the neck vertebrae. Lift the chin up level on an in-breath. And relax on the out-breath. Put a smile on your face. Okay, friends, so I hope you're able to maybe get a little bit of insights into the nature of these sensory vibrations. And actually, I had forgotten that there was a couple of chats on the chat box. And somebody had this question. When we see an object, aren't we really only experiencing the light reflecting off that object? Just as when we hear a sound, yes, but the light is a vibration too. The light strikes the nerve terminals of the eyes or any of the other senses, And so the vibration is basically those vibrations of heat or light or color that are striking the organ. But then they're recreated as being the original object on the retina of our eye, but that's done through the mental process. Anyway, it's a very complicated process, and even these words may not do it exactly justice, but it's a way of gaining some understanding of what how our mind operates, and especially as we will cover in the next few couple of weeks, we continue with the rest of the aggregates, seeing how they all fit together. So try to read, the same, keep that attachment that I sent out on Sunday. Try to keep it with you or print it out or something so that you can read that, continue to read that part 2 of next week, which will cover the perceptions and volitional formations. And again, during the week, there's your kind of homework, kind of just whenever you catch your mind getting caught up on something, kind of just remember, oh, yes, it's just vibration, or it's just a sensation. And, try to get some perspective on it rather than struggling, with creating all these monsters and everything out of these vibrations and sensations. Okay? Okay, friends. So we'll hopefully see you again next week. And Namo Buddhaya.
Thank you,
Namo
Bhante.
Buddhaya. Thank
Thank you,
you,
Bhante. Sadhu,
Bhante.
Thank
sadhu,
you, Bhante.
sadhu.
Thank you, Bhante. Namo Buddhaya.
Full of gratitude and compassion, Bhante. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And appreciation.
You're welcome. Really appreciate yourselves for having the interest to even want to look at, understand any of this stuff, because most people don't. Okay. Have a good night's sleep. See you next
Thank
week.
you, Bhante. More Dhamma, less drama.
That's right. Yeah. Politicians ought to learn that.
Thank you, Bhante.